Hi, Rogue Reader here with another first reading review. This time we're doing Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars. I've had this one on my TBR shelf for a long time now. This book is definitely not new. It's definitely, I think, a couple years old at this point. It's by Sam Maggs. I think this is her first Star Wars novel. The reason it took me so long to get to this is because I hadn't played Jedi Survivor yet, and I was waiting to when I was in the mood to play it, and I wanted to replay Fallen Order as well. And I wanted to replay Fallen Order, get a second kind of just refresher of it, and then I wanted to read this book after it since it takes place in between before going into Jedi Survivor. And then I wanted to beat Jedi Survivor before I make this video just so I can kind of talk about how this book does or does not tie into it. So I wanted to do that as well. So this has been kind of a long time waiting for this one. I'm going to go into, first I'm going to talk about my thoughts just on Fallen Order in general. And then I'm going to just go into this book. Again, no major spoilers or anything like that. These are always supposed to be spoiler free, and the only information I give is just anything related to the kind of setup of the novel in general. But there will be Fallen Order spoilers, obviously, since that takes place before this. So first, just my thoughts on Jedi Fallen Order. I do like the game, and when I replayed it, I actually liked it more the second time I replayed it than I did the first. I mainly love it just for the gameplay and the locations. I think the saber combat is super fun, and I love exploring all the locations that are in it. There's just some magical Star Wars moments in there when it comes like exploring wreckages of ships, being on Kashyyyk, things like that. Those are, I think, my favorite parts for sure when it comes to that game. I thought the story of Fallen Order was just okay. It does what it needs to do. It felt a little disjointed to me. Like I never felt the full significance of the holocron that they were trying to get throughout the whole story. It was just okay. But when it came to the characters, I did like them, but I was excited to see more of them and see where they're going to go from the end of the story. I thought they worked well together, but I felt like there was room for more development between them. Cal as a main character, though, he is a great main character, and I do love BD1. I mean, they gave a free, I also play the Old Republic MMO, and I think they gave a free, like, kind of Old Republic version of him, and I keep him as my companion in that game, too. BD1 is awesome. Now, the setup for Battle Scars is, it seems to take place a couple years after the game. It seems like some time has passed, but essentially, Cal and the crew of the Mantis, they're doing these different missions to attack the Empire. They end up meeting this former stormtrooper who joins them, and she has intel on this device called the Shroud. That's this kind of like cloaking device that could be really helpful when it comes to hiding from the Empire, and they're on a mission to go get it if they can. And while they're doing that, there's this whole thing of, can they really trust this stormtrooper or not? The plot's honestly nothing special. It's a typical MacGuffin search, essentially. I would say for the most part, you can kind of see where the plot's going to. I didn't really find any surprises when it came to it. All right, next let's talk about the characters, and I would say that's the true strength of the book. Kind of similar to the first game. I think the characters were maybe stronger than the plot itself. The author, Sam Maggs, she captures the voices of the characters perfectly. They sound right out of the game. Cal, Seer, Grease, Marin, they're all perfectly written. They feel exactly as they should. And it's really great seeing their insights and how they think about things. All of it works really well. It kind of provides some of what I was missing in the game, in that it gives you a chance to see them together more and how they interact with each other and think about each other. I think the first game, I don't think it did that badly. I think it was kind of set up, and this just kind of continues that, and that's great to see. Cal is as quippy as ever. He definitely, though, still feels the weight of things on his shoulders, though. He's there, though, to give it his all for his friends and the mission. He's characterized perfectly. He also, I thought it was interesting, he comes across as a bit bloodthirsty. Like, he enjoys the combat he's in, and he enjoys taking down the stormtroopers. And while I think that's maybe a little uncharacteristic for a Jedi, it fits in perfectly with the game, because that's what you're doing in the game, that you're cutting down stormtroopers left and right. So that just fits. And that's another strength of the book I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Seer is kind of struggling with wanting to save everyone after the experience with her former apprentice Trilla in the game. She kind of feels this pressure to see if she can save everyone she can. So she's dealing with that. Grease, meanwhile, he gets some of the best, most heroic moments in the book. He really has some moments to shine, which I like. He gets to be something other than just the pilot standing around the ship in this book. And that was great to see for him. Marin is, at this point, she's kind of struggling with her place in all of this, feeling lost after losing her people on Dathomir and leaving Dathomir. She's not really sure of her place in things. That's kind of her characterization in this book. I do like there's an insight into her whenever she teleports. We kind of get to see that from her point of view, which is cool. There's this thing where you kind of see like her senses all stretched out as she's moving to point really fast, but when she comes out of the teleportation, she has no memory of what she was doing in it, which I thought was an interesting take on it. But again, that was all really good and fun. BD is as cute as ever, and nothing really else to say about that. He's just cute. And then you have the Inquisitor, the fifth brother. We've seen him before in Star Wars Rebels, and he was in live action Obi-Wan as well. He is great as a villain. He feels genuinely threatening whenever he comes into the book, and he works really well as a villain. But now we gotta talk about the new character. Her name is Fret. She's the former stormtrooper that starts this whole quest. She is unfortunately the weakest part of this book. I honestly don't care for her at all. And she doesn't really have a lot of depth, I found, at least not when compared to the other characters. It makes her stand out, but in a bad way from everyone else. And that is a problem for me because she's in this as much as the other main character. She's part of the crew and she stays with them through the course of this book, at least. So yeah, I did not care for her character at all. When it comes to how this book is written, it kind of threw me off at first. It's written very casually. Like, it's written as kind of what you would hear in casual conversation versus like maybe a more, I don't want to say professional. I don't think that's the right word to use. It's very casually written in terms of its descriptions. That threw me off at first, and I didn't like it at the very beginning, but as the book went on, it grew on me, and I ended up liking it because, in all honesty, and I'm sure this is what the author was going for, it fits the characters more. I would say this writing style fits who the characters are with their kind of quippy and finding themselves and all those kind of themes. It works for them. So it grew on me as the book went on. Now, the biggest downside for me when it comes to this book and just how it's written, I guess this is a combination of how it's written and elements of the plot, but it's the romance scenes in this book. This book has a lot of romance scenes between the main character and Marin. It's borderline not safe for work. It's very hot and heavy whenever they're getting together, and it's very descriptive and it lingers on it. And look, there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't like that. I don't like romance novels. I don't like things that describe stuff like that. So for me, that was a big negative. I did not enjoy those sections. There's a lot of them. Now, when it comes to a big plus, I like how this author is not afraid to reference the fact that this is a book based off a video game. She does things in this book that happen in the game. Things that you could normally just dismiss because you could dismiss it as just a gameplay mechanic, and she will include it here. And it doesn't come across as weird or as a weird reference. It just works, and I like the fact that she embraces that. Like, there's a move that Cal does at one point that I recognize as a move from the game itself. They bring up the pink poncho you can unlock. Cal is taking stims in combat. In the game, you take the stims to heal yourself after you take damage. He's doing it in combat in the story of this book. Like, he'll be popping them left and right. I thought that was super funny because I would have just dismissed that as just a gameplay mechanic because you don't really see that in Star Wars, but she includes it here as something that he just does when he's fighting, and I thought that was both funny and awesome. I really like that she's not afraid to say, hey, this is a book based off a video game, and I'm going to reference parts of that. So I've come in the habit of, when it comes to overall, I like to bring up the dislikes first and then the things I liked about it. So again, just the things I disliked about the book, it's the character Fret. I didn't care for her at all. It's, again, the romance scenes were just too much for me. And I will say, I think this book takes a bit to hit its stride. It gets good by the end, but it takes a little bit to get there for me. And like I said, leading the things I liked about the book, even though I think it had a slow start, I was hooked by the end. I was liking it more and more as it went on. The Inquisitor is great as a villain. He's genuinely threatening. The characters are all perfect. All the main characters from the game, that is. They're all perfectly described. and they feel right out of the game and what you would want to see from them. I like that it's not afraid to embrace its video game roots. The fight with the Inquisitor that they have in here is it's genuinely an interesting fight, and I liked reading that part as well. I want to talk about the impact this book has on the second game. Does it have an impact at all? It doesn't have any, honestly. I wasn't expecting it to. I was expecting it at most to maybe have like a line mention, maybe a databank entry. And then as the book went on, there's something that happens to one of the characters that I was like, oh, well, maybe they actually are going to reference this book a bit more in the second game. But even with that, no, I beat Jedi Survivor recently and I couldn't find any references to the story in this book. So if you were hoping to have some sort of tie-in that ties into a plot element of the second game, that doesn't happen here. Overall, this is a book that, as I said, I wasn't really into it at first, and as it went on, the longer it went on, the more I got into it, and by the end I was hooked. So I was hooked on it by the end. It just definitely has some flaws, I would say. And I'm not sure if this is one I would reread, if I'm being honest. So overall, do I recommend Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars? If you really like the characters of Fallen Order and you want to see them spending more time together, and you want to see just kind of more interactions between them, then yes, overall, I think you will enjoy this book. Now, a lot of that is going to be tolerant on how much you care about the new character, and it's going to be based on your tolerance of the romantic scenes in here, but if you really like these characters and you just want to see more of them, then they are the best part of the book, and I think you will enjoy that. I mean, if you don't care about the characters and you're just all about the gameplay, I don't think you'd be picking up this book anyways, but there won't be anything here for you there. If you can't stand romance scenes, this is a book to avoid, unfortunately. And what if you're just a reader? What if you didn't play the games and you just read your Star Wars media? Is this something you could read as its own story? I think you could. It's essentially, I mean, the bare bones is that this is an Order 66 survivor and his crew just doing what they can against the Empire. You are going to get the sense that you're jumping into the middle of something, but it's still pretty much its own self-contained story. So yeah, you could read it that way if you'd like. But overall, those are my thoughts on Jedi Battle Scars. Let me know what you thought. Did you read this? Did you enjoy it? Did it expand your enjoyment of the games itself? Did it not? Do you like Fallen Order? Do you like Jedi Survivor? Real quick, having beaten Jedi Survivor, I can say I enjoyed it way more than the first game. I think Jedi Survivor is an amazing sequel, and it might be a game I might do a second New Journey Plus on. But those are my thoughts, and this has been Rogue Reader. May the Force be with you, and have a good day.